Salutations, salutations, everyone. Thank you so much for being here to support me. I don't know who will come through, but please come through. I am apologize for my tardiness. You know, I was supposed to have um, a guest to come on, but unfortunately, here, once again, another no show. I waited. I don't, if you catch any of my posts throughout my platforms, I did label no show and that the show must go on, and it is. So here I am. So, excuse me, before I came on to you, I didn't want to just run my mouth, before you. I just, wanted to make sure I had something to bring to you. So I was looking for something to kind of um give commentary on, because I don't do my reaction videos too often, but I'm gonna just do one for you today, and I do apologize for anyone who is anticipating the interview um, today. I do apologize, but once again, we have the lack of professionalism, and I'm getting texts at the last minute, a half hour later, half hour after the fact. So they claim that they still could come on, they phone died or whatever, and I'm just like, no. Mm-mm. I'm that's not gonna fly with me, because even if that were to be the case, you could have DM'd me. You have a computer. Even if you had a phone that died, I can't believe people still using that excuse. But whatever. You have I'm sure you have other devices you can use to contact me. You could have DM'd me. You know, there were other ways to communicate with me if that was the issue, and I would have made sure that I would have pushed back the live. There were ways around that one. I mean, come on, that was too easy. So no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good on you. I'm good on that at that point. Because I'm not going to go through my rant again, because you already know my position from the last time we had this situation happen. This the last situation. So I'm not gonna get into that again, because again, my position, but yet this thing still keeps happening, and I don't appreciate it at all. Because I was looking forward to this person to come on, and again, I'm not bashing this person. I'm not gonna call them out. I'm not that person. I have no hard feelings because I don't know this person. I was hoping to get to know them better, and I was really looking forward to really having a good conversation. But again, that right there, that impression right there, just a turn off for me, because we had contact up until this point. And so for you to make that type of excuse, no, 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 thank you. No, thank you. But so anywho, I'm gonna do reaction video. This is a person that I've been following lately. I'm hoping to get him on my platform because he's just like wise beyond his years. He goes by New Age CEO, and he just drops so many inspirational gems and this one resonated with me. So I want to um kind of dive into that. If so I'm not gonna be long with you, but I'm gonna dive on into that. So let me bring him up. All right, shout out to New Age CEO. If you don't follow him, I'm gonna have all this information in the description box, so you can follow him as well, because like I said, he drops so many gems on this platform. And so it talks about how, and I basically talk about this as well, about how people perceive me, and people who I may rub the wrong way, because I know I'm not for everyone. And I mention this, whether it's myself, whether it's me personally, or the type of platform that I have, is not for everyone. And I always talk about my rubbing people the wrong way, not always be the nicest person, but at the same time, there were times where I come across to certain people in a negative way, because they don't understand me at first, or they have to get to know me, because I'm very straightforward, and I'm very blunt, I'm very direct, and it's like they want you to be honest, they want you to be real, but when you are, it kind of it's not received well. And so it's it's so funny how that people tend to make, when I express myself or when I react to certain things that's being said or done to me, I'm being sensitive, right? Or I'm being so defensive. But then, when I, say something, I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to be considerate of their feelings, right? But my feelings are not valid. But, it also talks about how people, will voluntarily separate themselves from you when they're not a part of your journey. So, you know, so we're going to dive into that. So, all right, so here we go.
Not for everybody. And that used to bother me. Now it protects me. I used to water myself down to make people comfortable, talk softer so I wouldn't intimidate, move slower so
Okay. I know already, that right there, that one point just resonated with me. Even when I try, because I know, like I said before, I know there's going to be someone out there that might find my tone aggressive right now, and I'm just speaking in a regular tone. Sometimes I speak a little bit more softer because I don't want to be intimidating, or people might think I'm just, so I'm just mean and just aggressive for no reason, and you know, and even when I'm speaking in lower tone or and I always try to tell some people that even though I understand that I may be offensive to some people, not everyone is going to say things the way you want them to say it. It's not because I know I hear the saying, it's not what you say, but how you say it. And I do understand that as well, that that can be a factor there. But at the same time, you can't just always focus on how one says it, but focus on the context of what's being said. Not because not everyone is going to say things the way you want them to say it. And I'm not going to, you can expect for me to constantly customize or just lower my tone or just speak a certain way, to please the masses, because I'm, at the end of the day, this is the way I speak. I have to, I know no other way to speak but the way I'm speaking right now, because I mean, excuse me, blame God for my voice, blame God for my tone, excuse me.
people wouldn't feel left behind. Apologize for having standards, for being direct. Apologize for wanting more than what everyone around me settled for. And it still wasn't enough. People still left.
Yes, people still not satisfied, and and when it comes to high standards, and sometimes when you allow people to be comfortable with how they interact with you or how they um you know rely on you, and then when you set boundaries on them, it just really, really sets the tone for how they really view you as a person, or how they perceive you, or how they interact with you moving forward. Because sometimes when they get comfortable with me, being a certain way, and I try as much as I can to be a solid individual and, be there for people. But then there are times when I set certain boundaries, when I ask politely, oh, moving forward, can you do this? And it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's disrespectful. Or you have standards. And when it comes to relationships, when you're dating someone, I've had a few men had told me that, you may that comes across intimidating, or you just want somebody to kiss your ass, or just because you have certain expectations, and my standards are not that high. But if you can't fulfill those standards, it's okay. I'm not making you feel any kind of way. And I feel like you're projecting your insecurities onto me because I have certain standards, and because you're not getting your way, or I'm challenging you, you know, that seems to be a problem for you. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at all.
Still talk, still made me to be the villain for simply just being who I am. So I stopped adjusting. I stopped shrinking. Something interesting happened. The wrong people removed themselves. No argument, no confrontation. They just couldn't stay around a man who stopped performing for their approval. Being too much was never the problem, it was the filter. The people who left couldn't handle the real version. The people who stayed didn't need me to be less. They just needed me to be me. Not everyone is going to understand your intensity. Not everyone is going to match your drive. Not everyone is going to respect your standard. And that's fine. Those people were never your people. The ones that belong in your life won't ask you to shrink to stay. Stop making yourself smaller for people who were never meant to be close to you. Whoever can't handle the full version was never qualified for the accent. I'm
Whew. A to the men, to the man. Thank you so much, New Age CEO. Make sure you follow him. Like I said, I'm going to put his information on the description box. And I just really, really, really appreciate, because that it just resonates so much with me. And like I said, I know that I'm not always likable. I do understand that I still have a lot of work to do when it comes to how I reach people. But at the same time, I'm not going to continue to shrink, and I'm not going to continue to apologize for things that I should not apologize for, just for being who I am. And I know that if you have a hard time interpreting certain things that I might say or how I say it, we could talk about it. We could address it instead of being accusatory or just automatically make me the villain. Because I know growing up, that's how it was. Because I already had a bad rep as it is. I had a bad rep from having a nasty attitude and, certain things about me. So it was easy for people to make me the underdog or to make me, to throw me under the bus, because they're more inclined to believe what that person has said about me or accuse me of. And so there were times where I just don't say anything at all. There were times where I feel like, okay, if you want to allow yourself to hear just one side of a story and not mine, then it's okay. You could believe what you want. I'm not gonna waste my breath, because you already, because there's some people that already had their mind made up. And again, they're more inclined to believe, oh, I could believe that because that's how she is. I get it. That's how she is. She's known to do this, and so it's hard. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you can believe what you want, because God knows and sees all things, and God knows that I know that my tone could be strong. I have a strong personality, and there were moments where I have to check myself, and I hold myself accountable. It was hard for me to do that back then. I'm not gonna lie to you, you know, because anybody could tell you, oh God, Faith, she can never admit when she's wrong. And yeah, it was hard for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was hard to hear the hard truth about myself. When somebody tells me about myself, I get it, but it takes growth and evolution. I'm still working on myself. But at the same time, those who are around me, even those who still have a hard time understanding me, or they still have a hard time with my tone or whatever, they still adjusting, because even my mom is still adjusting. And my mom, she understands me, she knows me more, most anyone. Her and God, they're like the only two people that really truly understand me. And there's some people that still put up with me. Shout out to you guys. But thank you so much for still being a part of my life. Those who know who I am. And so I remember it was some years back, and my mom and I were having a conversation, and I was just talking, just like I'm talking now. And so my mom was like, why it sounds like you want to fight, like, you sound, so like you upset or something. I'm like, no, I'm just talking, and I said, I know that I come across a certain kind of way, but we're just talking, we're just having a conversation. And I know moments when I'm passionate, I do tend to raise my voice, or I may speak more louder than usual, and my voice tends to carry sometimes, because when you win the conversation, those times might come where my voice tends to carry, and then it may seem like I'm being upset, and so people may ask me, why are you yelling? And I'm really not. I'm not trying to yell. That's not my intention. It's not my intent. It's just that sometimes my voice tends to carry. And that runs, because I'm like, for my mom to even tell me that, my mom, she's just as, I mean, if you think I'm loud, like my mom, my mom is louder, just as loud. If you know my mom is very, you know, you know, very vibrant, very outgoing. Like, my mom, very, very talkative, and just, she's, very out there, over the top, with it. And so a lot of times, when I'm, even when, people say also that, I don't have an inside voice. It is, like I said, it's not intentional, but they understand that. Like, even when I try to whisper, if I try to talk lower, when I try to, with some people, it just elevates, like I said, not intentionally, but it tends to elevate. And so like I said, so for y'all, trust me, I know some people, it's hard to read me sometimes. They don't know whether I'm joking or whether I'm serious, but trust me, because I'm, like I said, if I mean what I tend to mean what I say and say what I mean, and I say certain things in humor, but sometimes I have like that warped sense of humor, or sometimes my sense of humor could be dark at times, to where people don't understand it or may not be aware, so they be like, they'll give me these looks, and I, and I could read people, and I, and people may not be aware, or they might think that I don't notice certain ththings, that I don't observe certain things, because they always think my head is in the clouds, or they just think I'm so naive, or they say green nowadays. They think I'm so naive, but I'm more aware than you think, ladies and gentlemen. And I know I see the side eyes I be getting. I see the weird looks that y'all be giving me. I see the moments where y'all be laughing, laughing at me, making fun of me. Y'all be talking amongst each other, making fun of me of the way I speak, or sometimes the faces that I make unintentionally. I notice it. I notice the fun that y'all be making, but it's okay. I know I come across weird at times. I might come across a certain way, but at the end of the day, I'm at the age. I'm at a big age right now to where I don't care as much as I used to, because, like the video said, there were moments where I used to just really, like, really let certain things sink in. And it's not to say I don't care what people think. It's not to say that I don't care at all. I'm just like, whatever, but it's either you accept me for who I am or you don't. The same way you want me to accept you for who you are, accept me for who I am. I'm still going to make adjustments, but I'm not going to do it in your time. I'm not going to do it, you know, when you want me to, but at the end of the day, just know that I'm still a solid individual at the end of the day. And I'm not going to um, lower the playing field. Just like, I won't expect for you to do that for me. And I'm not going to do that for you, but I'm still going to act accordingly, depending on who I interact with, depending on who you are. Because I know that there's some people that I'm around at times. They may not be fond of me. They're not fond of me. Some of them in my circle, or certain in certain spaces, and I know they don't see it for me, and that's okay. I may not see it for them. That's fine too. But it doesn't mean that I wish them harm in any way. It doesn't mean that I am, that there's any hard feelings. No, none whatsoever. It's just that, we just go our separate corners, and we just continue to be the human beings that we are. But God is still working on me, but I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope everyone is doing well. um, I hope that you know I hope that you enjoy whatever interviews I have coming up. I hope you enjoy those. But again, please keep the lines of communication open, like I keep emphasizing over and over again. Keep the lines of communication with me open. You know, I don't want to have to continue to go through this type of thing, especially at the yeah. But again, I said I wasn't gonna take it too far. I wasn't gonna take it there. I wasn't gonna go deep with it, because, like I said, you already know how I feel about it. But it pissing me off. It's pissing me off, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, I hope everybody's doing well. And I hope you guys are able to catch, or I hope that you do catch my interview with Jay Jefferson. Shout out to Jay Jefferson, retired law enforcement officer and author of The Law and Penitentiary, Rules Are Meant to Be Broken. Please make sure you check out that interview. It was great having him on. He was he was telling me that that he really appreciated the interview. He enjoyed it, and that he felt himself sweating a little bit. I said, no, I mean, you did just fine. You held yourself, but you held your own very well. And so please make sure you check out that interview with Jay Jefferson. Shout out to him. And so I am also going to be recording tomorrow my next service in church, because for my last video, please make sure you check that out as well. I did do recording of my pastor's last sermon last week, this past Sunday. It was his last day as pastor of Christian Church at East Point. So shout out to Pastor Ram Burton and his First Lady Tarika Burton as they embark on their journey, and I wish them all the blessings on their endeavors. Please make sure you check out that video on my channel as well. And so I'm going to record Pastor Christopher Hosey's first day as lead pastor as Christian Church at East Point. Because as I mentioned previously, Pastor Hosey was the assistant pastor at one point of Christian Church at East Point. Then he became the lead pastor of Grisham Park Christian Churches, which is one of our sister churches. And so he stepped down from that role, and now he is he's presiding over Pastor Rand, and he's going to be doing his sermon as the lead pastor of Christian Church at East Point. So please make sure that you look out for that. But in the meantime, if you want to join us during that service. I don't know if we're going to be streaming live that day, because normally Pastor Rand has his laptop that he uses to stream on the CC East Point website. That's what we normally use to be able to go virtual. So I'm not sure if that's going to be, um, I don't know if we're going to be streaming or not, but I'll keep you posted on that, or you can just look at the video that I'm going to be editing, that I'm going to put up, for that service. So just to kind of give you a little heads up there. So yeah, so if I don't and then if I don't do any commentary between tomorrow and Wednesday, please make sure that you are in the building for my next interview with actor Hakeem Sharif. I'm looking forward to that interview. And if you want to become more familiar with Hakeem, just check out check out some of his Tubi movies, such as The Caretaker, as well as the one next door that he was in, um, as well. And he's done quite a few other Tubi movies as well. So just get yourself familiar with Hakeem before he comes on my platform, and I'm looking forward to speaking with him. You better make sure that you show up, Hakeem. Don't be doing me like these other people be doing me, okay, Hakeem? I'm counting on you to show up on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the 5th of this month here. Just show up for me, Hakeem. And if you're not, you know how to contact me. You know how to do that. I can count on you, right, Hakeem? Yeah, show up for me. Show up for me, and make sure you guys show up for me as well. But thank you so much for bearing with me. And like I said, once again, the I do apologize for the lateness in the live, and also the cancellation or the no show of our guest for our interview. But in the meantime, I wish you nothing but abundant blessings to you, and you have a good one. Oh, by the way, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel as well. I didn't want to forget that. Okay, now have a good